Hi, we are Group 8, and today we will be creating a marketing recommendation for Chinese millennials switching to coffee. Starbucks is growing quickly in China, with hopes to open almost 5,000 new stores by 2021, doubling its store count as of today. There are many opportunities and drawbacks for this new change in beverage preference. With our recommendations, we can help make this transition easier to understand, take into account established Chinese traditions, and understand Chinese millennials. Tea has always been a huge part of the Chinese culture. However, millennials are disrupting the culture and switching to coffee. Coffee consumption in China has tripled in the last 4 years, and Starbucks is moving east to accommodate the growing market. The company recently revealed that they will be building 3,000 stores in China over the next 5 years, doubling the number of stores in the area. As Starbucks pushes east, it is important for the company to tread carefully and recognize that tea has been a part of Chinese culture for 2,000 years. We suggest that Starbucks consider the following recommendations to optimize their success while also respecting the Chinese culture.
But to fully understand our recommendations, we need to understand how important tea is in China. Long before tea became the beverage of choice and a way of life, it was considered a medicinal staple. It was not long before tea was incorporated more and more into daily life. Today, drinking tea is one of the most important parts of every meal, and it is a long-held tradition to serve tea to welcome guests as a form of respect. Tea is an important part of Chinese culture and should be respected when expanding coffee into the Chinese market. It is important that Starbucks cater to the wants of millennials as well as the other generations. Our first recommendation is for Starbucks to team up with the tea industry in China to create shops that cater to all tastes and will not push out a 2,000-year tradition. If Starbucks can bridge the gap between the tea drinking culture and the coffee drinking culture, they will be a widely accepted brand. Products made in China but associated with foreign elements such as a Western-sounding name or being endorsed by a Caucasian model have been seen as a superior. This is an example of the power that foreign entities have within China. The idea of foreign products and brands in China is a strong influence in consumer preference. By taking this into consideration, we will go into our second recommendation.
The middle class in China is quickly adopting Western brands as they are seen as premium brands. We recommend that Starbucks maintain higher pricing to match the quality of service and products they provide. The Chinese middle class adopts Western culture for its perception of wealth. We believe that if Starbucks were to lower their prices and attempt to increase market share, they would lose their competitive advantage. China's middle-class population continues to grow. It is said that the number will increase from 430 million today to 780 million by the mid-2020s. These middle-class families are able to afford their own cars as well as take vacations abroad. There is also an increase in migration of families living from rural areas and moving to urban locations such as Beijing and Shanghai. Chinese millennials also contribute to the ever-growing population in China. These millennials are different from what you think a millennial is in Western culture. Chinese millennials are known for their spending power and exceeding levels of privilege. The cause to why they are recognized as ultra-connected consumers is because of their placement in history as the only child generation. The only child generation was based on the only child policy, the one-child policy, which was a way to control population growth that lasted for 40 years and just recently concluded. Also known as the privileged, entitled, and fun-loving generation, these Chinese millennials are between the ages of 19 to 35. We're often called little emperors and empress. China as a whole has many different markets depending on the region. For example, products that are popular in northern China might not be liked in eastern China. To appeal to each region, we suggest that the company use a transnational strategy rather than a global strategy. By a transnational approach, Starbucks will be able to customize their menu to each region that they serve rather than having a uniform menu throughout China. It would also be beneficial for Starbucks to partner with local distributors and restaurants within the regions to better understand and accommodate their customers. Many consumers of coffee in China are of the middle class. Most of the middle-class population live in cities that are a lot smaller than Shanghai and Beijing, but these cities are still large nonetheless. Starbucks may find more potential by opening stores in these cities in order to be closer to their target market. By opening stores in localized areas, closer to the target market, more consumers will eventually start to catch onto the trend by taking in cues from their areas and their peers.
Although Starbucks is doing relatively well at the moment with their coffee market is continually growing, it still runs into issues with diversity. Although coffee is growing in popularity, tea still holds the top spot of China's main source of caffeine. Opening more Starbucks locations may cause doubt in Chinese consumers. Starbucks has continuously failed in the tea market, such cases such as Tivana. Starbucks may open more stores in China, but in the end, it will still hold an American image. In conclusion, China's largest middle-class millennials are changing the market today. As Starbucks continues to open more stores in China, consumers become more exposed to their product, slowly becoming a new trend and normality of said area. With the gradual changes between Eastern and Western culture, societies are becoming more blended and also open to change. By following these recommendations, we believe that Starbucks' success will only continue to grow.
Just in time for the holidays, the world's largest Starbucks is now open in Shanghai. It's the company's first reserve roastery outside the US, and it spans almost 30,000 square feet. It's got a pretty huge menu too, featuring more than 100 beverages and over 80 food items. China is a major market for the coffee giant. Its CEO for China told CNBC a new Starbucks location opens in the country every 15 hours, and the company plans to have more than 5,000 stores in the country by 2021. But the roastery in Shanghai won't hold the title of largest Starbucks for too long. In 2019, the company plans to open a reserve roastery in Chicago that will cover 43,000 square feet.